Hello, people. Hold on. I need to do my best Shawn Mendes impression. Hello, people. Literally twins. Canadian icon. Kind of just wanted to mess around with a bit of a different video today because I've just been working on a lot of art in my personal life. I love being creative, and I just wanted to show you guys a little project that I had done. Also, I feel like it's more important now than ever before that we have videos that we show off of us in the progress and the process of making art, because it seems like AI is taking over everything. So the process, the human process behind art, is more valuable than ever. Like throughout the last few days, I've been working on making myself a phone background of Olivia Rodrigo's new album. You seem pretty sad for a girl so in love. Can't believe I just said the whole title name out loud like that. That's impressive for me, okay? Because that title is crazy. But I love the album art, and it's like, I love the album so much, and it's really like coming to encapsulate my entire summer. And hasn't been out for like a week. Yes. Okay? And I've been listening to it non-stop. So I really wanted to honor it and make it my phone background. But, you know, the album cover is a square format. And I was like, okay, well, how do I make it into like the fucking widescreen format that is my phone without finding like an extremely blurry version on like social media that's going to be compressed and whatnot? So I'm like, how about I just draw over it? And then I can draw over it and just expand the sky and the image upwards and downwards. And you know what sucks is how much AI stuff is pushing for you to do things like that. Like Photoshop has that whole feature where you just like drag up on the image and it continues it for you. No! Okay, that's taking far too much goddamn water. It takes more water than it did for me to draw this, and way more processing power, and it's made by a fucking clanker. Okay, clanker. With a hard with a hard ink. Okay, so yeah, I just want to show you the process of making that. I'm not like an expert in digital art or anything, I do not claim to be, but I'd like to think that over the years, I've started drawing stuff on my computer when I was like 13, so I feel like I've acquired some knowledge on how to do any of this. So first, I just put the image into my drawing application, and all I did was make it the correct like format, the size of my phone. And then I go through and I just kind of colored in the sky top and bottom, and I'm like, okay, that's the whole image. Now basically all I have to do is trace over it, which is the easiest part. So what I like to use, because I use Fire Alpaca, which is like a free program. Is it the best one? Certainly not. I've used Photoshop before for drawing, and Photoshop is so much better for drawing, but not anymore, okay? You know what Adobe's doing, and we do not approve of what Adobe is doing. Instead, I've been using Fire Alpaca. I like using the marker preset, and then I just go with a really dark color and do like a pretty thick outline. I usually like to keep the angle at like 0, and then I'm just going in with like a thick outline with the marker preset, because it kind of just adds a little bit of texture to it, but it's nothing too complex or anything. So yeah, I go through and I'm just like outlining her skin. And also the important thing that makes digital art so nice is layers, right? You got to be layering all the time. And so the thing that I usually do is I always start with the line art. I normally start with a sketch, but because the image is basically already drawn for me, I'm just doing the line art. Then I moved on to the dress. The dress is the hardest part of this whole thing because in the image it's kind of white pink, but it's also orange because it's the sun. Like, it's hard to like, when an entire image is so much like exposed by a certain type of light, it's kind of hard to tell, okay, well, what's like the base color? Like, what would this color look like under more like usual lighting conditions? And so that's something I always struggle with, was like getting the color right when it comes to lighting and stuff like that. And so I just found this like dark outline, but I think later I end up making the outlines even darker because they need to really contrast against like the shadows and stuff too. So yeah, I go through and I make the dress outline, and then I also go through and make like the white parts of the dress, make those different colors as well. It also just lets you really block it out. And like, then I also did the hair. The hair was the hardest part, and I ended up completely redoing it towards the end because the hair works a lot differently. It's not like a hair has like an outline, everything. It's like, I wanted it to look more like it was individual strands. And then honestly, the hardest part was making the fucking chains of the swing, because I really wanted, like, you know, you got to go through and outline each individual one. Okay, so now onto coloring. I can just go through and just like make solid colors of everything at first, and then that's like such an easy base to work with, because once you just have all the solid color stuff down, that's when you can really decide like what like art style you want to go with, what kind of painting style you want to go with, what medium you want it to kind of look like. I do not understand if this is proper technique at all, but I think coloring in stuff in digital art is so frustrating, and I don't understand why computers and programs do it the way that they do. But basically, there's the paint bucket tool, right? Every time you use paint bucket, it always leaves a little edge along where paint bucket will never completely 100% fill a space. It always leaves an edge, and I don't know how to get rid of that. It's probably a setting. It's probably not that deep. But the way I always kind of mitigated this was I just put the color beneath the outline layer. That way I can really just like make sure it's completely and entirely filled in. Especially useful when I use the marker for the outlines, because that marker outline has a bit of transparency towards the edge. It has a bit like fuzzy edges. So you want to make sure that those edges are completely filled. And then also, I kind of just think it's satisfying. I kind of just like coloring it in. Because like the paint bucket tool cannot be trusted. It has never ever been trustworthy in my entire life, okay? I'm just coloring it in. It's already coming along kind of well. It's also like I traced over an image, so it's kind of just copying that. But I'm proud of myself so far. Another thing that I forgot to do that you should always do is instead of working with that transparent white and gray like grid that always shows up on transparency things, put in like a very solid color so you can see the gaps in where you have colored. It makes it so much easier. That way they won't show up later when I'm drawing the background. So yeah, I think I eventually went and made one that was like really bright purple that like really sticks out amongst all the colors, so I could always see where the gaps are that I need to keep coloring in. Yeah, here's the purple, which I know Olivia would approve of. I know she would approve of the purple. All right, so this is the line art completed. The lips are a little funky, I know, but it also, like, there's something about the line art that I was proud of is that it kind of looks very Disney, and I'm like, that fits. Okay, Olivia is a Disney princess in my mind, a Gen Z Disney princess, so it all makes perfect sense to me. Especially, I ended up adjusting the face quite a bit because don't look at her face upside down. In my drawing, I'm just saying this, in my drawing, don't look at it upside down because it doesn't really look good, but it looks good upside down, and that's all that matters, okay? I think it ends up working out pretty fine. I think I got the face shape right. I eventually do fix up the mouth. The mouth looks freaking dumb right now. Yeah, there's always like the little details that what takes so long is somehow I had this took me 3.5 hours. Huh? 3.5 hours? It's also one thing too, I always get so anxious that I'm gonna mess up the part after this when it comes to like shading and stylizing and whatever, that I ended up saving a copy of this part just in case I ended up messing up the next step so badly. I'm like, I need to reset. Which, yeah, it's kind of hard when I chose probably the blurriest image of this cover art to make, which is so funny because I'm sure there's probably a pretty high quality version. And this entire process of me making a phone background could have been pointless because there's probably a high quality picture out there. I also forgot to color. I hate when you make a mistake with layering when doing digital art, because it can just be so catastrophic. So I'm honestly spent a lot of this first session just fixing up mistakes. And now we're getting to a more interesting part. So the way that I like to style, and I'm sure if you remember any of my animated videos from the past, you would know this, that I developed this style when it comes to backgrounds and like drawing, and what I really like is just using the watercolor preset in Fire Alpaca. Now I don't know what exactly it does. It just kind of blends the colors of things in a way that I like. Does it really look like watercolor? Kinda. It like has a sort of painted look to it, but it looks very digital still, which is like this cool mix of like, I don't know, I think it looks good. And so the way that I was doing this at first, before I like really felt like I could just trust my own instincts when it came to the shading, is I would lower the opacity of like the base color, and then just kind of draw the shading over where the shading was in the original image. So that's what I do with the face for the most part. I think that's tough with this brush preset, is finding the balance between mixing the colors and complementing the colors, and seeing like how dark things should be, because this image of her is very like high contrast. Like it looks like sunset, or like the sun is lower in the sky, and so the shadows are really dark and the skin is really bright. So just trying to find that was kind of tough. And see, this isn't what it ended up looking like, which looks good, but it doesn't look as much, like it doesn't have nearly as much contrast as it should have. And so I kept going throughout like the whole thing and always going through and giving it more contrast. Same with, okay, I'm not whitewashing her. Okay, I'm not whitewashing Olivia Rodrigo. I am an ally to all Filipino people and people with Filipino descent. And I'm not going to say it like Cameron Diaz says that in that one interview.
Filipinos.
So I also felt like the skin tone was just off, and it's because of how bright the sun was. So I go through and I adjust that and just increase the contrast throughout the video. But so far I'm like, it doesn't look bad. I kind of like the style. Like I said, it still looks very Disney princess, which I'm like, that's kind of iconic. Like I feel like that would fit very much her aesthetic. I mean, she is one of the Disney girlies. I'm very proud of the arms when I got around to doing those. Especially like I was able to add in like the details of like the crease in the elbow and stuff like that, and really nailed the lighting and how it like is shaped around someone's arm. So I was very proud of all of that. And then same with that was tough, is I had to go through and really darken up the outlines of the skin again, just because the shadows ended up blending in with the outlines maybe a bit more than I'd wanted to. But I think the arms end up looking pretty good. It's all just about smoothing it out, smooth it out, smooth it out. Just keep adding layers and layers and layers, and I think eventually gets to the point where it just has this like, its texture all the way through. It also kind of looks like when people make really nice drawings in Paint or MS Paint, which is kind of funny because I feel like that's almost like an insult, but it's low-key not. Like that, people can do amazing things in any art program, okay? Now I end up doing the legs, and this is where I realize I'm like, oh shit, I have the skin tone too light. So I go through and I just darken everything up, add more contrast, stuff like that. Just always little adjustments is like the biggest thing that you'll be doing. And then the dress I struggled with, because the dress, you can tell it's illuminated by like a very orange yellow light, but it's so hard to like have that come across. And so it came across as too like cold colored at first. And so I spent a lot of time adjusting the coloring of the dress and everything like that. So I went through, here it is. I went through and really just like added a bunch more orange to it, very orange peach color. And then same with the shadows, needed to be so much darker. But overall, I really liked how the dress came out. I like the little details and the wrinkles and stuff like that. I think it all worked out in a way that I really liked. Then now I'm working on the white parts, and that was pretty easy. Just like more usual stuff. Even just like one thing I like to do is, even when it's not technically like shading, you just add that texture by like taking some brighter and darker colors and kind of just adding it over top of a white with the watercolor paint. I think it looks good. And then I ended up really making the shoes as reflective as possible. Just because like there's that little shine mark on the one shoe. I'm like, it's such an iconic image, by the way. How do you even manage to capture that? Like how many swings on that swing set did you have to do to capture that image? And then also going through and completely lighting all of the, once again, here's me making all the outlines way darker. It really makes everything stand out way better when the outlines are darker. Which is super easy, guys. The Protect Alpha, or any art program that is Protect Alpha, lifesaver. And then the last part that I do was just do the sky, do the sky and then the lighting. The sky was pretty easy. I kind of just fucked around. I kind of just scribbling with all the different shades that were in the real picture. Same with I did the hair. It took so long doing the hair that I didn't even bother recording it. So sorry about that, people. But I ended up doing the hair by just like drawing it all in one solid color, and then I kind of mixed in the outlines as like the outlines on the outside of all of it, but also the outline goes throughout the middle of it too, so it kind of looks like a bunch of individual pieces. Same with like a ton of detailing and like the painting and stuff like that. And I'm really proud of how the hair came out. So now that I'm doing the lighting, this is where I was like, okay, I need to kind of correct the image because I feel like it's not orange enough. It's not really representing that like the time of day that I was hoping to. It kind of looks like a cloudy day in this picture right now. So I went through and just kind of added a bunch of I did a bright orange to start, because then that's when you go into blending modes and you adjust all the blending of that color. But this is like, I needed to be more orange. It needs to be closer to whatever color this is. So I went through and I added all of that to almost everything. Like every little point needed it, just to really emphasize the lighting. And then I think I ended up going with the soft light filter. I really liked how that looked, and I just added as much of it as I could. And then I also noticed that like the sky should have a little bit more contrast against the rest of the picture. And so I did a similar thing where I think I did like harsh, what if it's included in this? Oh yeah. I just included a much darker blue soft light filter. which really helped. That was my little adventure that I was doing this week, including a little bit of art that I was making. I'm very proud of this. Feel free to download it and use it for your own picture backgrounds or anything. I hope you all enjoyed this. I might continue making more stuff like this because this is what I've been doing when I'm out, when I'm not making videos, is doing art, and I love art in any kind of form. And so I just want to show you guys. I'm sure there's some of you that are fans of any work that I do, and I could probably freaking just... I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon for the next little creative thing that I do.